Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk about fruit fly evolution here for a few minutes. I've been on a roll lately talking about these evolution topics. I always find them interesting, and so I'm actually responding to this from a comment someone made on one of my videos. And whenever you're watching my videos, and if you have comments or maybe you have questions about something, it gives me topic ideas. So I read every single comment, and so I appreciate anyone who tunes in. So even if someone disagrees with me, I get hate mail all the time. I don't care. It is what it is. It comes with making a YouTube channel. But I think this is legitimate. He has a question here, so let's jump into this and see if we can answer this. And I pull up some websites, some research, and the Bible actually does talk about this a little bit. So let's jump into this and see what it says. So I always put out these videos on evolution, and they get ratioed into oblivion. People, evolutionists hate these things, but it's fine. I enjoy doing them, and it's what I like talking about. So this guy says, it's responding back to my evolution videos because I still hold my stance that there is zero evidence for macroevolution. So if you have evidence for macroevolution, I'd love to see it. Post it below. So this is what he says. Look up the fruit fly speciation study. This is observable evidence of speciation happening in real time. Fruit flies who are of the same species who were forced to evolve and slowly change species. So let's go ahead and define our terms real quick. So there's two types of evolution. Mainly when people are talking about evolution, scientists or whatnot, they're talking about macro, is when one species is evolving into another species. That has never happened. It's never been observed. It is not science. So this is the two definitions of macroevolution. Macroevolution refers to major evolutionary changes over time, the origin of new species of organisms from previously existing but different ancestral types. Examples of this would be fish descending from an invertebrate animal or whales descending from a land mammal. Man, I'd love to see the fossils here. There are no transitional fossils at all. If you can find some, I'd love to see them. The evolutionary concept demands these bizarre changes. Now, that is not observed. Macroevolution is a religion. Now, microevolution, I would call this just variations within the gene code. There's no new information added, but the Bible does say something about this. So I'm careful to use this word microevolution, but it's all throughout the textbooks. National Geographic talks about all these big mainstream places, but I would say it's just variations within the gene code. So you have some people with brown hair, you have some people with black hair, you have blue eyes, brown eyes, you have rabbits, some with short hair, some with long hair. It's still a rabbit, and there's just variations within the gene code. But let's go ahead and read it real quick so we can define our terms. Microevolution refers to varieties with a given type. Change happens within a group, but the descendant is clearly of the same type of the ancestor. This might be better called, there it is, variation or adaptation, but the changes are horizontal in effect, not vertical. Such changes might be accomplished by natural selection, in which a trait within the present variety is selected as the best for a given set of conditions, or accomplished by artificial selection, such as when dog breeders produce a new breed of dog. That's microevolution, variations with the gene code. So let's see what the Bible says about this. It's very specific. We're the first couple chapters of Genesis. It says all throughout it that animals will produce after their kind. It says that all throughout it. And it says right here in Genesis 1:24, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beasts of the earth after their kind. And it was so. Genesis 1:21, and God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And I think it's 17 or 18 times throughout the first couple chapters of Genesis that it talks about that this will happen. So what is a kind? So let's go ahead and jump into this. This is a wolf. And if you look at a wolf, a coyote, a jackal, a dog, you would all look at these. I could bring my 4-year-old or my 5-year-old in here right now, and she would say that, you know what, these are probably all the same types of animal. A dog always produces dogs. I haven't seen a dog produce a non-dog. That's a religion. If you want to believe that, you can go ahead and believe it, but this is the stuff that they teach in schools. And I'm going to show an image here from National Geographic, says that we all evolved from sea sponges. So if you want to believe that, you can 100% believe it. But I just hate how it's always one side of this being taught. So if you look at all these dogs here, probably a common ancestor was a dog. No one would deny that. Look at this. Here's all the cats, the leopard, and the cheetah, and the tiger. I would probably say that, you know what? All of these cats here have a common ancestor. It's a cat. Let's jump in here. Birds. Look at all these different types of birds. Tons of birds. But you know what? It has a common ancestor. A bird. You never see a bird evolve into a giraffe or a whale or a mosquito. This is what they teach in the textbooks. Look at this. Here's the tree of life. This is from the National Geographic, and this says that we evolved from sea sponges. Here we are, 700 million years ago. So next time you're swimming in the ocean, I live in Florida. We go down to the Keys every once in a while. We hire John Pennekamp. They take us out there and look at the coral reef. So you know what? Next time you're ever out there swimming, just look down, wave down, and say, "Hi, Grandpa." There's your grandpa right there. Our former ancestors, sea sponges. This is the junk that they teach people, and people believe this all day long, and they don't question it because teachers have these degrees and they're teaching our kids this garbage. And so here it is. Here's the tree here, goes up to the starfish. Here's some birds, some other water creatures. There's us right there. Come from the same tree as the sea sponge there. So we're all evolved from sea sponges. If you want to believe that, go ahead. So this guy was talking about this fruit fly speciation study. Let's go ahead and read it. I thought it was a very weak article, but I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'm going to show you the other side. See, schools indoctrinate people. They do not educate people. And education should be learning all sides. I think if you should either teach both evolution and creation science, or you teach none. It shouldn't just be one-sided. Our schools this day are indoctrination camps. That's what they are. They don't teach people anything. It's not education. It should be called an indoctrination. All right, here it is. The results of a study by biologists from the College of Arts and Sciences, which examined reproductive traits of the fruit fly, have been published in the scholarly journal Proceedings of the Royal Society Biological Sciences, their article, and it's cited there. The research team, which included postdoctoral research Aaron L. McCullough, graduate student, gives the credentials. The group examined the molecular environment of the female reproductive trait in 3 closely related fruit fly species following mating, using proteomics, which is a study of protein composition and complex biological samples. They compared the abundance of proteins in the female reproductive tract before and after mating and found that each species responded very differently to mating. In 2 species, there were large changes in protein abundance after mating. But in the 3rd species, there were essentially no changes in protein abundance after mating. So they keep saying different species. Is it still a fly? Are we still looking at flies here? Maybe 3 different types of flies. And that's why I have to be very careful with the terms here. The fly isn't mating with a bird or some other type of insects. It's 3 different types of flies. And again, you're talking about microevolution, just variations within the gene code. And I think they should just get rid of that term completely. Since successful reproduction demands on highly coordinated interactions between male and female proteins, the team concluded that differences in the molecular environment from one species to another may reduce hybridization or interbreeding between different species and help maintain species boundaries. This study expands the understanding of the evolution of reproductive traits and the origins of biodiversity. I'm not even kidding. That's the article. It's cited right here. That is the article right there. And this is what this person is referring to. So there's no backup of science. There's nothing else that talks about this. There's another website that kind of expands on this a little bit deeper, but a fly is still a fly. It did not evolve into a new species. This is the point that I'm trying to make. Is sure, you can have selective traits, but it's still a fly. It doesn't evolve into something else. And there's limitations. If you look at rabbits, Florida rabbits, I live in Florida, they can't reproduce or interbreed with Alaskan rabbits. There's limitations there. You'll never breed a dog the size of Texas, and you will have a dog the size of a roach. There's certain limitations that happen through interbreeding. So let's jump into this. This is kind of like the other side. That's what people are teaching, but they've been doing these fruit fly studies for a long time now. That was from 2020. This is an old article from the Institute for Creation Research. I love this website. If you haven't already, check it out. But this is from 2006, and it kind of talks about some of the things that happened within these fruit fly studies. And there's a piece here we're going to read at the end here that they don't tell people. That's the thing, is they select these articles and they leave out certain information. And so I'm just here, I just want to educate you. I don't want to sway you towards my opinion. It's not my job. I want you to make a decision for yourself. We always hear this one side. Here's the other side. Let's see what it says. Since the early 1900s, the biological community has used the tiny fruit fly to conduct thousands of experiments. Students in biology classes work with fruit flies, crossing various types to produce inheritance patterns. Today, there are many thousands of publications dealing with the fruit fly, and to secular biologists, it is a creature for investigating evolutionary genetics. This insect is used because Genetically, it is relatively simple, having 4 pairs of easily observed chromosomes containing only 13,000 genes. That's the DNA. In March of 2000, the entire genome, the totality of genes of the fruit fly was sequenced. Radiation such as X-rays, listen to this, will produce mutations in various frequencies. So there's no such thing as a beneficial mutation where new information was added. You're always using existing information. Nothing new is ever added. So keep your mind on that. And various frequencies and strengths of X-rays have bombarded these insects in the laboratory, producing, for example, wing abnormalities. See, that's not evolution, that's devolution. See, evolution says things get better, but this is making things worse. But let's keep reading. Wing abnormalities known as apterius, vestigial, dumpy. So vestigial just meaning might be a body part that's no longer in use. It's just it evolved and then it just died off and that's it. Or we might still have it, but there's no longer use for that. We'll hear this all the time, maybe with our humans with our tailbones. But I'll tell you what, I'll pay to have your tailbone removed and you let me know how you're feeling. There's multiple muscles that connect to that help us walk and stay upright. Going off on a tangent there. Since 1910, geneticists have documented over 3,000 mutations in this creature, yet science journals have not documented a single fruit fly evolving into something else. All of these studies, they'll say, oh, this is microevolution, evolving into a new species. Go ahead, I want to see the evidence, I'm looking for it. No matter how often and badly they're mutated, indeed, the late evolutionist Pierre, the fruit fly, the favorite pet insect of the geneticists, whose geographical, biotopical, urban, and rural genotypes are now known inside out, seems not to have changed since the remotest times. Hox genes, no help for microevolution. As an embryo develops, its body plan arises under the direction of developmental control genes, which include a group called homeobox or Hox genes. The Bithroax gene is part of the Hox gene, which is mutated may produce a 4-winged fruit fly. This is their evidence here. But listen to this. They'll say that you did this. They created this 4-winged fruit fly. But go ahead. Let's hear the other piece of this. They normally have 2 wings. It is said that in many cases, experimentally induced mutations in homeotic genes create drastic changes in the basic body design, and one non-creationist stated. Controlled genes like homeotic genes may be the target of mutations that would conceivably change phenotypes, but one must remember that the more central one makes changes in a complex system. The more severe the peripheral consequences become, homeotic changes induced in Drosophila genes have led only to monstrosities, and most experimenters do not expect to see a bee arise from the fruit fly constructs. So I would love, go ahead and use these X-ray machines and have a fruit fly evolve into a ladybug or something. Let's see it. I'm waiting for it. But this is key. This whole thing I just want to show you. So they did this in the lab, created 4 wings. Fine, okay. Decades ago, an example of a good mutation was given by a Denver University biologist during a public debate with the author. It involves a biothorax gene and produces an atypical 4-winged fruit fly. Unfortunately, this is what they always leave out information. This is with anything. Whatever you do, whether it's the news or politics or whatever you're involved in, make sure you look at all sides and make sure all the information is there. Unfortunately, the evolutionists failed to tell the audience that the fruit fly's ability to fly was severely impaired. What would natural selection do to such mutated creatures? I mean, what if I were to have an X-ray and I grow a leg outside of my head? What would be the point? That wouldn't be very beneficial. So there is no such thing as a beneficial mutation. I'm looking for it, and if you have it, please comment below. So that's it. I just wanted to show you the other side of this. There's no such thing as a beneficial mutation. Flies do not prove macroevolution. You have variations with the gene code. It happens. We know this. So I do have a few questions, just 3 quick questions. So we already answered this. Did the fly evolve into a totally different species of animal or bug? No, it did not. Was there new information added, or was existing information being utilized? You're using existing information. There was no new information added. And the last question here that I have is, let's say, like in this example, there was 4 wings there. Listen to this. When an evolutionist talks about creating something in the lab, you're proving it takes an intelligent mind to create something. So if they were able to do this, you just proved my point that it takes intelligent design or some type of intelligent intervention to do something like this. It will not do it on its own. And that's the whole point. Let's just pretend that the Bible doesn't exist. And all I'm trying to say is just say, hey, you have evolution here, or you have a creator. That's all I'm trying to say. If I can gear you towards this creator over here to say, hey, Graham, you know what you're saying makes kind of sense. I look at this house, there's a foundation, all these walls and ceiling. There's so many parts of this house. It wouldn't just pop into existence. So I'm just trying to say someone created this house. I can't see who created it, but I would be dumb to say, hey, this house just popped into existence. So that's my point is, hey, I'm just trying to put a creator here, something immensely powerful, omnipotent, all powerful that created everything. And that's the point I'm trying to get at. So that's it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't, like, subscribe, share. Those are the best things we can do to keep this channel growing. We're getting to 1,000 by the end of the year. That's our goal. So I appreciate everyone who watches these videos, and we'll see y'all next week.